Imagine standing at the very edge of the world, where the land itself makes a final, defiant stand against the endless march of the sea. Beneath your feet, not barren rock, but a vibrant, living tapestry of emerald, jade and mossy green, a softness cloaking the sheer, brutal power of the cliffs below. This is not just a view, it is a profound conversation, a millennia-old battle and partnership between earth, life, and water, and today, we are going to listen in. We're journeying to those majestic sea cliffs covered in green vegetation, overlooking the ocean, and we're going to uncover the incredible secrets they hold. How does life not just survive, but thrive on these vertical wind-lashed frontiers? What hidden forces sculpt these colossal green guardians of our coastlines? And why, on a deep, almost primal level, do these places stir something so powerful within us? Strap in, because we're about to dive deep into the science, the stories, and the soul of these landscapes. This is where the earth shows off its most dramatic art. Let's begin with the most fundamental question. How on earth did these cliffs even get here? We have to rewind the clock far beyond human history into the patient, grinding gears of geology. These aren't random accidents. They are the dramatic finals of epic geological stories, often written in the language of tectonic plates. In places like the cliffs of Moher in Ireland or the Big Sur coast in California, you are looking at the result of immense continental forces. Sedimentary rock, layer upon layer of ancient sand, silt, and marine skeletons laid down over millions of years in forgotten seas, was later thrust upward by the Earth's incredible power. Then, the master sculptor arrived, the ocean. Wave action, a relentless and patient artist, began its work. It seeks out weaknesses, faults, and softer rock layers, pounding, grinding, and eroding. This process, called coastal erosion, is a constant tug-of-war. The sea doesn't carp. Uniformly, it creates headlands, bays, caves, and sea stacks. The cliffs we see are the resistant remnants left behind, the fortresses that haven't yet fallen, but geology is only half the story. It provides the raw, dramatic canvas. The green vegetation, that stunning living blanket, is the other, more miraculous half. It's a story of relentless adaptation. Think about the conditions here: salt spray that can kill most plants, winds that can reach hurricane force, thin or non-existent soil, and vertical real estate. This is a plant's version of trying to live on a skyscraper during a permanent storm. Yet, life not only finds a way, it paints the town green. The pioneers are often hardy grasses and succulents, things like sea thrift with its pink puffball flowers, or samphire, a plant that actually thrives on salt. Their roots are tenacious, binding to the smallest cracks, beginning the slow, vital process of creating soil from rock dust and decay. They are the foundation of a vertical ecosystem. Over time, their success allows for shrubs like gorse and heather to take hold, and in milder, wetter climates, this can even evolve into hanging meadows and dwarf forests. This vegetation isn't just decoration, it's a protective skin. The root systems act as a living net, holding the cliff face together, stabilizing it against landslides and erosion. In a beautiful paradox, the very life the cliff supports becomes its armor, slowing down the very geological forces that created it. So when you gaze at a green cliff, you are witnessing a breathtaking balance, the destructive, sculpting power of the ocean meeting the creative, clinging force of life. It's a dynamic, living landscape, constantly changing, yet appearing eternal. This interplay sets the stage for everything else that makes these places special, from the hidden wildlife kingdoms they harbor to the deep human histories they've witnessed and inspired. The cliff is both a monument and a habitat, a fortress and a garden, and understanding this dual nature is key to appreciating its true majesty. Now let's zoom in from the grand geological scale to the intricate, bustling world that exists on that green, vertical surface. A sea cliff is not a monolithic wall. It's a sprawling, multi-level city for wildlife, a skyscraper of biodiversity where every ledge, crevice, and soil patch is a precious piece of real estate. This green covering is the engine of this entire ecosystem. It starts with the plants we mentioned, the pioneers, but they are more than just anchors. They are the primary producers, the converters of sunlight and salt air into food and shelter. Their flowers provide nectar for a specialized caste of insect bees adapted to coastal winds, butterflies like the bordered brown that flutters precariously in the updrafts, and countless beetles and spiders that find sanctuary in the dense foliage. This insect life, in turn, attracts predators. Look closely, and you might see spiders weaving their webs not between branches, but between grass blades, their silk glistening with sea spray. This vegetative layer is also a critical nursery and hiding place. For birds, these cliffs are nothing short of paradise fortresses of safety. The grassy tops and ledges offer perfect, predator-free nesting sites here. The air is not just wind, it's a superhighway. Seabirds like puffins, guillemots, razorbills, and kittiwakes gather in vast, noisy colonies called rookeries. They lay their eggs on bare ledges, relying on the cliff's inaccessibility for protection. The green vegetation on the cliff top above is crucial for them too. It's where they can loaf and rest away from the nest. And for some species, it provides material to line their rocky nurseries. Meanwhile, birds of prey like peregrine falcons or sea eagles use the very highest points as lookout posts and nesting areas, surveying both the ocean for fish and the cliff face for smaller birds. But the city extends downwards, below the green fringe, to the bare rock faces. Here, in seemingly sterile conditions, life clings on too. Lichens, those symbiotic partnerships of fungi and algae, paint the rock in splashes of orange, yellow, and white. They are the ultimate minimalists, living on air and moisture. And below the waterline, where the waves crash, a separate but connected underwater metropolis thrives. Kelp forests anchor themselves to the submerged base of the cliff, providing food and shelter for fish, octopuses, and seals. The nutrients washed down from the vegetation above fertilize this underwater world. This vertical integration is key. Guano from the bird colonies on the cliffs acts as a powerful fertilizer, supercharging the growth of the clifftop plants, which in turn stabilizes the soil for more plants and insects. It's a perfect, closed-loop ecological cycle. However, this delicate balance is incredibly fragile. A single misstep can have cascading effects. Disturbing nesting birds can cause them to abandon their eggs, leaving them to predators or the cold. Trampling the tough-looking vegetation on the clifftop can destroy root systems that took decades to establish, leading to soil erosion and eventual cliff collapse, which destroys the nesting sites below. Invasive plant species can outcompete the native specialists, destabilizing the entire plant community. This cliffside ecosystem is a masterpiece of coevolution, where every organism, from the smallest insect to the largest seabird, plays a specific role in maintaining the stability and beauty of the whole. It's a testament to life's ingenuity, a thriving, breathing community perched on the edge of oblivion, reminding us that the most dramatic places on Earth are often the most alive. With this understanding of the cliff as a living, breathing entity, our perspective shifts. We start to see it not just as a place, but as a presence. And this is where our own human story becomes deeply entwined with these green giants. For millennia, humans have been drawn to these dramatic interfaces between land and sea, not just for resources, but for something deeper: protection, inspiration, and spiritual connection. Archaeologically, sea cliffs have often been sites of strategic importance. Their inaccessibility made them natural fortresses. From the clifftop promontory, forts of Iron Age Britain and Ireland, to the Maurepas sites in New Zealand, ancient peoples utilized the defensive superiority of cliffs. A village on a green-capped cliff needed only to defend its landward side. The ocean was its impregnable rear guard. But these places were more than just practical. They were sacred. Many cliffs, especially those with striking formations or sweeping views, were considered liminal spaces, thresholds between the earthly world and the realm of the gods, spirits, or the afterlife. In Celtic mythology, cliffs were often associated with portals to the otherworld. The sheer drop into the misty, roaring ocean below evoked feelings of awe and transcendence, a direct connection to the sublime power of nature. This spiritual resonance translated into folklore. Cliffs became the homes of mythical beings, from the sirens of Greek myth, who lured sailors to their doom from rocky shores, to the sulkies of Scottish and Irish lore seal people who would shed their skins on secluded cliff bases. They were places of transformation and danger. This duality is key. The cliff provides protection and vision, but also represents the ultimate peril. This is reflected in the human structures we find there. Lighthouses, those solitary beacons of hope and warning, are almost always perched on these precarious edges, their light cutting through the fog to prevent the very tragedies the cliffs threaten. Similarly, monasteries and hermitages, like Skellig Michael off the coast of Ireland, were built on impossibly steep, green-clad sea rocks. The physical difficulty of access was part of the spiritual practice, separating the monks from the mundane world and bringing them closer to the divine through isolation and confrontation with raw nature. Even in our modern, less superstitious age, the psychological pull remains powerful. The phenomenon of call of the void, that fleeting impulse one might feel at a great height, speaks to the cliff's enduring power to confront us with our own mortality and freedom. They are destinations for pilgrimage not religious, but personal. We hike to their edges to gain perspective, literally and metaphorically. The vast horizon puts our problems into scale. The relentless ocean reminds us of time. The clinging, vibrant green symbolizes resilience. Artists, poets, and writers have always been drawn to this. The romantic poets like Wordsworth and Byron saw in these wild, untamed landscapes a reflection of human emotion and a rebuke to industrialized order. A green cliff is not just a pretty picture. It is a catalyst for storytelling, for introspection, and for connecting with a history of human wonder that stretches back to our earliest ancestors who first stood in awe at the edge of the known world. Yet, for all their seeming permanence and power, the green-clad sea cliffs we cherish are under threat. The very balance we've explored between geological force and tenacious life, between wave and root, is being disrupted on a global scale. The master sculptor, the ocean, is changing its tools. Climate change is the most profound destabilizing force. Rising sea levels mean the base of the cliff is being attacked more vigorously and from a higher starting point, accelerating erosion. But perhaps an even more insidious effect is the increase in the frequency and intensity of storms. More powerful waves generate greater hydraulic pressure, forcing water and air into cracks with explosive force, literally prizing the cliff apart from the inside. Heavier rainfall linked to a warming climate saturates the cliff's green vegetation and the soil behind it. This adds immense weight and can trigger catastrophic landslides where entire sections of verdant cliff face simply slump into the sea. The salt-tolerant plants, adapted to specific conditions, may find themselves out of their ecological niche as weather patterns shift. But climate isn't the only pressure. Direct human impact remains a massive issue. The desire to live with a view leads to development on cliff tops. Construction weight, water runoff from paved surfaces, and the removal of stabilizing vegetation for gardens or pathways can all weaken the cliff structure, leading to property loss and habitat destruction. Tourism, while vital for local economies, brings its own challenges. The pressure of millions of footsteps can erode paths and compact soil, killing plants. Uncontrolled access disturbs nesting birds and fragile flora. People venturing off-path for the perfect photo can cause immediate damage and set dangerous precedents. Furthermore, pollution, both on land and sea, finds its way into this ecosystem. Plastic debris entangles wildlife, and chemical runoff can alter the delicate soil chemistry that the cliff-top plants depend on. However, it's not all dire news. Understanding these threats has sparked a global movement of conservation and ingenious engineering. Traditional hard engineering, like seawalls and rock armor, often simply shifted the erosion problem elsewhere and destroyed natural habitats. Now, the focus is on soft engineering and managed realignment. This involves working with nature. Projects now actively replant native vegetation with deep root systems to bind the cliff. They create natural drainage channels to manage rainwater and reduce saturation. In some areas, controlled retreat is the strategy, relocating assets away from the cliff edge and allowing the natural erosion processes to continue without endangering human life, creating space for new habitats to form inland. Technology plays a role too. Drones monitor cliff faces for early signs of movement, and 3D mapping allows scientists to model erosion with incredible accuracy. The key lesson is that we must shift from seeing cliffs as static scenery to be preserved unchanged, to understanding them as dynamic, living systems that we must learn to respect and adapt to. Their survival, and the survival of the incredible ecosystems they support, depends on our willingness to embrace this dynamic view and act as responsible stewards, not just distant admirers. So where does this leave us standing at the edge, looking out? We've journeyed from the depths of geological time, through the intricate web of cliffside life, into the heart of human history and spirit, and confronted the modern challenges they face. The final piece is what we do with this knowledge. The true power of understanding these places is that it transforms how we experience them. It's the difference between seeing a postcard and reading an epic novel written in rock, leaf, feather, and wave. Your next visit to a coastline, whether it's the famous white cliffs of Dover, the fog-shrouded green giants of the Pacific Northwest, or a humble, vegetated bluff near your home, can be a deep exploration. Look for the layers. Identify the pioneer plants gripping the edge. Scan the skies and ledges for bird life. Watch the aerodynamic mastery of the seabirds, the patient hunt of the raptors. Feel the texture of the wind. It's not just air, it's the sculptor's breath and the life giver for seeds. Listen to the crash of the waves and try to comprehend the immense, patient power contained in each blow against the land. Seek out the human stories, the old footpaths, the ruins of a lookout, the art it has inspired. Become a conscious observer of the balance. But with this deeper connection comes deeper responsibility. We must be advocates. This means practicing leave no trace principles religiously when visiting these sensitive areas. Stay on marked paths not just for your safety, but to protect the soil and roots beneath your feet. Keep dogs on leads to prevent them from disturbing ground nesting birds. Never fly drones near bird colonies, as they cause panic and abandonment. Support the conservation organizations, often local charities or national trusts, that work tirelessly to acquire, protect, and manage these coastal lands. Their work in habitat restoration, path maintenance, and public education is irreplaceable. On a broader scale, be a voice for the policies that protect coastlines and address the root causes of climate change. Remember, the cliff is a barometer for the health of our planet. Its stability reflects the stability of our climate systems. So, I have a call to action for you right now. First, if this deep dive resonated with you, if you feel that pull to the edge, then let's build a community of people who see these places for what they truly are. Hit that like button. It helps this channel share these vital stories with more people. Subscribe and ring the notification bell, because we have so many more journeys into the world's most incredible landscapes planned. But more importantly, I want you to go from viewer to explorer. In the comments below, tell me about your cliff. It doesn't have to be famous. Have you visited a place like this that stayed with you? What was its name? What did you feel standing there? Or, if you haven't yet, which green cliff from our collective imagination do you dream of seeing one day? Share your stories, your photos, your questions. Let's create a living map of awe right here in the comments. And finally, take this curiosity with you. The world is full of stories waiting to be read in the landscape. Your attention is the first step towards their preservation. These sea cliffs, covered in stubborn, vibrant green overlooking the relentless blue, are more than a view. They are a lesson in resilience, a sanctuary for life, a mirror for our souls, and a call to stewardship. They remind us that the most beautiful things are often born from the greatest tensions, and that even on the edge, life not only holds on, it flourishes. Thank you for joining me on this exploration to the edge. Now, it's your turn. The horizon is waiting. A stunning sunset over a green cliff, the grass backlit in gold.